So now let's fetch our products from the database rather than fetching it from this products.js. So for that I am going to import the product model that we created in the earlier video. So import product, okay, from dot slash models dot product model dot js. All right, so let me just disable this. Right, so now we can just go ahead and fetch all of the products. Okay, so for this I'm going to make this an asynchronous function because all mongoose methods are asynchronous by nature. Okay, so make this async, and in order to resolve promises, or in order to handle promises, I'm going to open up a try catch block. All right, so once that is done, and now let's go ahead and create a variable called products. Okay, and equal to await, because this returns a promise. So the product model that we imported, and this has a method of called find. Okay, find, if we just invoke it without passing it anything, this will go ahead and fetch all of the products that are there in the database. All right, so once that is done, we can go ahead and just log it to the console and have a look at the products. Okay, okay, so if there's any error, okay, so I'm just for now just going to console log the error. All right, so, and I'll also show you what the error actually is. Okay, and so this is done. So before we move ahead, I want you to just download a package called as Postman. Okay, not a package, an application which is used to test APIs. Okay, any kind of APIs, like we can just pass in headers, and we can do all sorts of operations when it comes to testing of REST APIs. All right, so we can just go to Postman. Okay, Postman download. You can just go to this, and this is an open source software where you can just download, where you can just test any API of whichever you're building. So we will just I already have this installed, so I'm not going to download. So you can just download whichever operating system you have. So this is the app which after you download it, looks something like this. All right, so once you open Postman, you will see an interface like this, where you can just click here and to make a HTTP request, or you can just go over here and, okay, not here, you can just create a collection. Okay, we can just call it okay, one, we can just do this later, and we can for now make a request. All right, so we are going to make a get request to look to HTTP colon slash slash localhost colon 5000, where our server is running. Okay, slash API slash products. All right, okay, so since we are making here a get request, okay, to this particular URL, so we can actually fetch all of the products, and we are just logging to the console at the moment. Instead of logging to the console, we can just send directly the response, so res.json. Okay, and we are passing the products. Okay, so if there's any error, we will just console log it. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. Okay, make sure your server is running. All right, so we don't have to run the front end, so we can just go to the server and run npm run dev. All right, so that will start the backend server. Okay, so let's wait for it. Okay, so there's the error over here. So this is actually not anymore coming from the products. Okay, so uh, says that doesn't provide. Okay, so anyways, we are going to get rid of this. Okay, so let's restart it. So now our server is running. Let's go ahead and make the request. All right, so if I click on send, okay, so it's going to give me all of the products. Okay, so which I have actually is there in the database. Okay, which we have already uploaded in the last video. Okay, so all of this data is coming from the database and not from the products.js file. All right, so this is what it is. This is what Postman is for testing your APIs. So if anything goes wrong, if you want to isolate your testing environment, so Postman is the best tool. All right, so for now we are done with this. So in order to fetch a specific product. Okay, so for that again I'm going to make this asynchronous async. All right, and opening my try catch block. Okay, here I am just going to put this on top like that, and instead of fetching it from the products.js file, we are going to await product, okay, dot find. Okay, and this time it is find by id. Okay, so we are finding by the id which is coming from the request parameter. All right, so find by id, and this we are going to find based on the request dot params params dot id. Okay, so id is a field that we specified over here. Okay, so based on that it will find fetch the particular product. Okay, so we can send a response, so res dot json, and then send in the product. All right, so if there's any error we can just console log it. Okay, later we are going to make a custom error handling, so for now we can just console log the error. All right, so that's done, and let's we don't have this anymore, so let's get rid of that. Any errors? No. Let's go ahead and fetch based on the particular id. Okay, so let me just go ahead and grab this id, okay, for this particular product. So if I copy that and paste this as a parameter. Okay, so this id is pertaining to this colon id over here, so this will match, and the particular id, okay, that we are fetching is from the request.params.id. Okay, so this is that particular value. So let's go ahead and send. Okay, so we are getting based on the based on the id that we pass in. Okay, we are getting the specific product, okay, details. So that's done. So now let's purposely make an error over here. So I'm just going to remove make a mismatch in the ID. Okay, so let's send that, and you see it just keeps on going because we are not handling the errors. Okay, so if we go and have a look at the console, so it is going to log me the error that we get. Okay, so you can just see cast to object failed for this value. Okay, which means that this doesn't actually have a date, and this doesn't actually have a product with this id. All right, so for that we can just cancel this, and we can create our own custom error handler. Okay, so for now we can just send a json response. Okay, so anyways, if our promise rejects also, we need to send in a response, right? So res.json, and we can just pass in the message, okay, saying that product not found, and we are going to make a more elegant way of handling errors. Okay, so for now um, we can just go with this. Okay, so we can just do the same for this as well, for fetching all the products. Okay, so instead of saying product not found, we can just say something went wrong. Okay, so now let's try it once again. Okay, so let's make sure everything is working. Yeah, and let's send this. Okay, now we get the custom message. Okay, so that is product not found. Okay, and now what we can just do is we can just move this to another place, such that we can segregate different types of like routes. One is for the controllers, and one is just like a middleware. Okay, so that we can keep things organized. Okay, like app.use user routes, product routes, order routes, just like that. All right, so we'll be doing that. So let's go to the server directory and create a folder called routes. Okay, so inside that I'm going to create a file for the product routes. All right, product routes.js. Okay, so in here I am just going to cut all of this, and we'll later be importing here in our server.js, so that both are actually connected. Okay, so you can just cut this and paste it over here, and instead of this I am going to first import express. Okay, import express. All right, not like that. All right, so now we can initialize router, so I'm going to call it router equals which is coming from the express dot router. Okay, just like that. So this router function allows us to create particular routes for our particular handlers, okay, like product handler, for users and orders as well. All right, so with that we can get rid of this app and we can just call router. Okay, router dot get, and same as here. Okay, and that's done. So now we need to import the product model. So I'm just going to press control space and that will auto import it. And now let's go ahead and export this. Export default router. Okay, so this is a default export, so we can just name this anything we want. So we can just go to server.js, and instead of this we can just import our product routes. Okay, product routes. Okay, not from this. Okay, from dot slash that is coming from routes slash product routes. All right, and what we need to do now is we just need to go over here and we got to use app dot use. So whenever we making a request to slash API slash products, okay, and we are going to call this function, that is product routes. All right, so that's done. And one change we need to make over here, since API slash products is already included there, we can just get rid of this and just replace that with a slash. Okay, so I am just pressing control D and we can just give it a slash. Okay, here we already have one. Okay, so that's done, and let's go ahead and test it. So with that saved, if we go ahead and make a request, I'm going to fetch all of the products. Okay, and hit send. Okay, so seems like there's an error. Okay, it says that this module doesn't exist. Okay, so my bad, I need to add in the .js. Okay, every time I keep forgetting that. And let's now test it. Okay, so there we have it. We have all of the different products, but now it is all coming from the product routes. Okay, so I'm just going step by step so that you can understand everything what I'm doing. If not, it look too much concepts for you, right? So that's why I'm going step by step. Hope it's not too much confusing. The reason why I'm doing this is I got to keep things organized such that if we make more and more requests. Okay, so this is just for the products, we'll be using for the users and orders as well. So our files keep getting messier. So that is why in the earlier stages itself I am organizing things very well, so that we can know, we can have a file for routes, and also we will have a file for controllers, which is nothing but a function which will which will make different requests. Okay, but like this block which we have over here. Right, so that's why I'm making it organized, so it's always a good practice. So when it comes to MERN Stack, it is a convention that we have a folder for controllers, then a folder for routes, and then we all connect them all together in the server.js file. All right, so that's what I'm actually doing. So in the next video what we'll do is, instead of writing this try catch block for every request we make, okay, we will be installing a package called is excuse me, express async handler, so that we can get rid of this try catch block, and it will handle promises within itself. All right, so I'll see you next.